Hey guys, welcome back to Maelstrom Gaming Studios. I'm Craig, and today we've got an exciting video for you guys. We're doing a remake of our list we do once a quarter or so, and that is a 2K list for every detachment. Now, everyone probably knows that this balanced data slate, mid-torn field manual, everything, there are some big changes for the Tyranids. We probably were one of the most bumped up in power level army. Again, I don't think we're going to be S tier crushing everything. I think there are lists that can be A tier, and the casual win rate is probably just going to go up a couple points, which is huge. But with all of these changes, I mean, all of these lists have got some big shakeups. Some big core units are in and out of the list. So we're going to talk about it in today's video. I'll give you the list, and then hopefully if you guys like this, let me know in the comments. I'll probably do 1,000-point one maybe in a week or so. We'll see when I can get to it. But that's what I got. If that sounds good, do like and subscribe to stay up to date on all of our content here at Maelstrom Gaming Studios. The changes that Tyranids have got has reinvigorated me. I'll admit I was a little bit down. Tyranids were fun, but they weren't. Just playing them over and over was not really. I wasn't loving it. But now I have so many things to try, so I'm looking forward to it. And thank you, members, for allowing me to keep doing this. You'll see the final list of the video, and because you guys are able to pick up some stuff to try out this wonky list, you'll see it. And yeah, so all that there do. With all that out of the way, let's dive into today's video. So like I said, this is Tyranid Codex 10.5. It's pretty much the way it is. It's 10th edition 10.5, or maybe it's 10.3, because we might see another one of these in a year, a shake-up like this. Who knows? But balanced data slate changes, new points, and just good stuff for the Tyranids. So let's get into the first list. Let's start off with Invasion Fleet, because that's the one everybody uses, and this is probably still going to be a good one. Now, Invasion Fleet is probably the only detachment that saw a nerf. I say a minor nerf, a small change that is a big nerf to the detachment, but still it's a very powerful detachment. The Foot Tyrant has gained that bubble of lethal and assault, but it did lose the ability to put 5 up Feel No Pain on 2 units every turn. And that was one of the crucial durability bonuses that this Invasion Fleet had. Now it's just going to be 1 unit, so you got to be a little bit more careful, but I still think it's going to be powerful, especially with the Hive Tyrant changes. So first off, leading the list, Old One Eye, because I love Old One Eye. He had to make it into one of these lists, and I think this is the one for him. We have the Foot Tyrant with Adaptive Biology, because the Foot Tyrant will be running alone. Now, personally, with the changes to the lethal one, I'm a little more inclined to use the Hive Tyrant with the Heavy Venom Cannon, because he's going to be babysitting some range stuff anyway. To each their own. I probably will still play with a full melee build. You can see him. He's right up. There he is. Right there. Full melee build Hive Tyrant ready to go. But if you use a Venom Cannon or the Stranglethorn Cannon, I don't blame you, because the lethals he now gives himself is awesome. We do have a Neuro Tyrant, because Neuro Tyrant got a little bit of love. And the Broodlord, because the Broodlord is now a Synaptic creature. So effectively this thing lost 15 points, because you no longer have to pay for the enhancement to give it Synapse. It just is a Synapse creature. In the battle line, we've got 10 Gargoyles and we've got 10 Hormagaunts. I want to do 2 units of Gargoyles, but the way the missions work now, you're going to want to not just use Gargoyles and throw them up the board to clog your opponent. I think you're going to want a battle line unit to stick around in the back line, kind of doing some actions and what have you. So I think Hormagaunts, you're going to see them a little bit more, maybe just everyone including, instead of 2 units of Gargoyles, 1 Gargoyle, 1 Hormagaunt unit. So that's the battle line. And for the other dash sheets, the Carnifexes are back with the dual Death Spitters. I love this loadout. Now, personally, from a fun standpoint, I love the dual Devourers, because that's 24 dice a Carnifex, and it's fun rolling 48. But the Death Spitters are just better. Yes, it's half the amount of shots, but they have AP -2, which is huge. So you take them with Old One Eye, and you walk them near the Hive Tyrant, and you take Sustained as your Hive Fleet detachment, or your enhancement, whatever you want to call it. Adaptation, that's the word. And now, these Carnifexes against infantry, which is what you kind of want to shoot them at anyway, will have full rerolls to hit, hitting on 4s, full rerolls to hit, but 6s are sustained and lethal thanks to the Hive Tyrant. And you don't have to pay, because you could technically pay to do that. Now you don't have to pay the CP, you just get it. So I love that. We've got 10 Gene Stealers. Again, I love Gene Stealers now that they are strength 5. The Broodlord being strength 7. So they're going to be up there, be a big disruption early game. Strength 5, they're just going to threaten so many more opponents than they did before. Got a Lictor. Again, it's good at killing infiltrators or other units like that. It's also great for just sitting around and doing actions at 55 points and Lone Up. Got a Neurolictor because she, now having Synapse, can, not only bolster units around her with the +1 strength, but she can trigger, if she gets close enough to certain units, giving them some really nasty battle shock checks that they're more likely to fail, which again, will just boost the rest of your army. 2 Maliceptors, again, probably walking around near the Foot Tyrant because those guns having potentially sustained and lethal at all times is just a huge damage up increase. Well, potentially a huge damage increase. Was it 16%-ish? I don't know. And then we've got a Psychophage. I think Psychophage is going to see a little bit play. They're still cheap from the last update, but again, with actions and stuff, not being able to just do them in melee, you're going to need units that can just sit and do actions and be decently tanky. So I think a Psychophage is a perfect candidate for that because it's tough enough where your opponent has to dedicate serious threat to it. It's not going to die from a single Melt-A-Gun. It's not going to die from a bunch of bolters. You're going to need to put a couple las cannons into it or a dedicated melee unit to deal with it because it does have its 5-up Feel No Pain built in. It is just a Rhino with 5-up Feel No Pain, but it also gives 6-up Feel No Pain to the rest of your army. Well, if they're close to it. So I think you're going to see a Psychophage here or there in a lot of lists because of that. 3 Raveners. I love Raveners now. I mean, I already did, but with the change to Biovores, I think Biovores will still be used, but Raveners popping up, doing your actions, getting into your corners, I would do that. Take them with the armor save because they're not going to be fighting or shooting. They shouldn't be fighting or shooting. They should be on the defensive, just doing their stuff. So having a 4-up save is good. And finally, 6 Zoanthropes. The Neurotyrant and 6 Zoanthropes is a fantastic combination. I do worry. I don't know. I worry because they are still slow. So you could strategic reserve them on, just absolutely annihilate something, and hope you still have targets around to kind of float around and get stuff. My experience with just Zoanthropes in the past is that they pop on, they delete something, and that's maybe they shoot a little bit more, but your opponent either blasts them off the table or they run away from them. So we'll see how that shakes up. I think you're going to see it a lot, at least early on. Yet to say how powerful it is, but the alpha strike that Zoanthropes can cause is immense with a Neurotyrant now. Into the AM is back today as another channel sponsor that we greatly value here at the channel, and it looks like you guys enjoy it too. So Into the AM has reached out. Their summer sale, their 4th of July sale is going on right now when you're watching this. So click the link. It's up here, or it's down in the description, or it's in a pinned comment. Whatever the case is, find the link. Go check it out. They've got big sales going on, and they've got new stuff. So again, graphic tees, we love them. You see us wear them everywhere. And it really is starting to take over our wardrobe. Not just, I love the colorful octopus, but can't wear colorful octopus every day of the week. So they've got casual. If you need a business casual outfit, they've got you covered there. If you want some comfy leisure clothes, they've got you there. And starting now in the summer, they've got a new design. If you're someone who is into wearing tank tops, for the summer, laying out on the beach, laying out at the lake, whatever the case is, they've got awesome designs for you there. This style of clothing is not typically what I wear. Avert your eyes, the pale white might be blinding you, but it is hot in Minnesota in the summers for at least a few weeks, and we go up to the lake and relax, and it can be very hot there. So, picked up a few of these. They might be nice to wear. Get a nice tan, get rid of this pale body, which does tan well. I just have to go outside in the sun a little bit more, but models to paint, job, all of that. These are the same good quality that Indie AM is known for. Soft, comfortable, they look nice, casual design on it, nothing I can complain about and really enjoy it. So right now, again, use the link in the description or wherever you can find it. Big sales going on. If you buy some stuff, it supports us. You get some awesome clothes. Indie AM gets a sale. It's a win-win-win. So thank you guys. Thank you, Indie AM, and let's get back to the video. So now we're going to look at Crusher Stampede. It got a little bit of love. Still not great in my opinion. I still think it. I think it's the second worst detachment, but here we have it. We've got a Hive Tyrant, no bodyguard for it, so just walking Hive Tyrant. We've got Old One Eye because I love Old One Eye on his own, especially in Crusher Stampede. He can be really good. And then we have a Neuro Tyrant again. Battle line, 10 gargoyles. You've got them. You got the points for it. Let's use it. In the other dash sheets, we do have a Lictor. And then we have 2 Maleceptors again, walking with that Hive Tyrant, giving out those lethals to them to make them really nasty. 2 Screamer Killers. I already like Screamer Killers in Crusher Stampede. I think they're the ideal monster for it. But now they're a little bit better because if they don't target them, they're OC5, which it's a big OC for a 1 model. And they have the strat to now walk through the walls. And Screamer Killers are the perfect model for that because they are fast enough where they can get through the wall. And they have a small enough base for a monster that they can make it on the other side of the wall and really disrupt your opponent. So I like Screamers in that regard. We have an Neurolictor, again, just for its disruption. Pyrovore, it can walk on the board and flame something. Maybe it walks on, target something that your Maleceptors are going to try and focus fire to turn off the cover, or it just does actions. Either way, it's a nice little include for 35 points. Raveners, and then 2 Tyranno effects with the Rupture Cannon. Rupture Cannons are awesome now. Yes, you still have to hit and wound and get through an get through an invuln save, and then your damage. But your damage now is minimum 7. So it's so good. In Crusher Stampede, as soon as they take a shot, they're going to be hitting on 2, so now they're going to be much more mobile. They don't have to rely on that heavy. You can, for the first turn, give them the lethals with the Hive Tyrant bubble. And if they get damaged enough to get +1 to wound, then they're wounding pretty much everything in the game on 2s. So I like them. I think they're a big threat. Yeah, so that's Crusher Stampede list. Next, we're going to do Vanguard Onslaught, a detachment that's a huge increase of benefit, not only from the addition of Raveners and Trigons and Mohawks, but I also think the stratagem change, or the Hive Tyrant change, is going to be a big boon for them because they didn't really have the best battle tactic strats or that big of an access to them. So leading us off, we have Death Leaper. Gonna need Death Leaper in this kind of one. You can make him the Warlord, you cannot. I would be interesting, consider it, look at the secret missions and stuff. Some of them involve getting your Warlord to places, so maybe you wanted on something different. But Death Leaper. Broodlord, you'll have some Gene Stealers with him. Neuro Tyrant, because I like the Neuro Tyrant. The Winged Prime. Does the Winged Prime gives Warriors Vanguard Onslaught? Or Vanguard Invader? And then we're going to play with a Winged Hive Tyrant. Now, originally, I wouldn't include one of these in this list, but again, with the stratagem changes, the Winged Hive Tyrant seems to be, at least at now, a good include. We'll see how it plays out, but I like it. Battle line, 2 units of Gargoyles. 1 unit to maybe do some actions. 1 unit to deep strike, screen your opponent, pop up later, do stuff. I think they'll be a great tool in your toolkit. In the other data sheets, we have the Gene Stealers. We have 3 Raveners, again, for just popping around doing actions. 6 Raveners. I think this brick is going to be terrifying. 10-inch move with advance and charge. That unit has 42 attacks. They're just like melee warriors. 42 attacks at AP -1, damage 1, twin linked. So they're kind of like the melee warriors. They're a little slower, but I really like the Raveners. We'll see how they play out. Maybe you don't need the 6 of them, but the ability just to advance and charge and then pull them back into reserve and then pop them somewhere else, delete something. I think it's very handy. I'll have 1 Neurolictor and 2 regular Lictors. A Moloch. Now, some people might be playing with multiple of these, but I think one of them is an auto-include into every every Vanguard Onslaught detachment. And now let me tell you, in case some of you might not figured it out. So there's a stratagem that allows you to pull 2 Vanguard Invader units off the table and then put them back up next turn. When a Moloch deep strikes, it deep strikes and on everything within 12 inches potentially takes mortal wounds, but also it potentially takes battle shock. And now the important thing about the whole battle shock is that you can rapid ingress and cause this to happen. Yes, it costs a CP, but you can still do it. So what'll happen is your opponent could be doing an action or have a unit ready to do an action, because most actions start in the shooting phase, and say they only have 1 unit to do the action. You rapid ingress, you pop that thing up there. Not only are you potentially doing mortal wounds to it, but if you cause that unit to battle shock, they can no longer do that action. There's no movement phase anymore, and they can't get a unit over there to do that action. It'll play mind games with your opponent about needing to almost have 2 units, because there's a, yes, it's a long shot. You have to deep strike near it. You have to roll a 5+, and then they have to fail the battle shock. But just the ability to do that over and over is going to be nasty for your opponent. Then we have Maleceptor. I do like, you could throw this thing out and put in another Moloch, but I do just like having a good synaptic, durable brick kind of lurking in the middle, shooting. It's the only access to AP -3 or damage 3 shooting, so I like one of those in there. 6 melee warriors, 6 zone throws to go with your Neuro Tyrant, and finally 1 Ripper Swarm, because I had the points. I don't really like any of the enhancements anymore for the for Vanguard Onslaught, so I'd rather just take a Ripper and I can deep strike it and put it in a corner, and then it can deal with those secondaries or whatever that might come up. So that is Vanguard Onslaught. Unending Swarm. I'm real bummed about Unending Swarm. I love this detachment. You guys know that. I only lost 1 game at tournaments with it, and now it's just in a whole different ballpark. It took, I think Unending Swarm Tyranids was the most nerfed thing out of the entire game of 40k. It just took so many, I won't say unnecessary buffs, but just the fact that they kept stacking up was quite sad. So what I'm doing is, we got to take into account that we can only bring back a unit once, and that'll likely be a unit of 20 gargoyles. So what I think we're going to have to do is still play with the 20 gargoyles, throw them up the board, and then use the 2 CP to bring them back, and then do it again, and they can just stall there. Yes, that gives your opponent points for the Cull the Horde, but I think we have to do that. So in the list, we've got a Neuro Tyrant, we've got a Turbogon, and we've got the Winged Hive Tyrant. That core is staying. I like it. In the battle line, the big block of 20 gargoyles, we are going to do 3 blocks of 20 Termagants. You need the OC, but then we're also going to follow it up with 2 units of 10 Termagants and 3 units of 10 Hormagaunts. Now, I can see a situation where maybe you want to shy away a little bit on the Termagants and go more into the Hormagaunts, because they can be strength 4 in melee now. Just give the Neuro Tyrant, give them their little Neuraloids and send them up the board. I can see that being a good option. For now, though, I'm going to say let's stick with this loadout. And the idea is, your initial turns, you want to send, those 10-man squads up the board, hold the objective, stall your opponent, and you want to save those 20-man blocks for the end of the game as long as possible to hopefully lower the chance of your opponent killing them for Cull the Horde. Save them for, turn 3, turn 4, where maybe they get up there, a bunch of them die, and you can pull one of them back as fast as possible. Any way to prevent Cull the Horde is what you're going to be having to go for here. In the bottom chunk, the other data sheets, still 2 Exocrines. I think you need at least 2 of them in the list. A Neurolictor, 2 regular Lictors, again, something to do the actions besides the little guys. Venom Thropes, a Ripper Swarm, again, you might just need one to plop one somewhere. And then a Psychophage. Durability might be a thing that is needed here, so we're going to try the Psychophage in this regard. I could totally see people, I don't remember what this point tally comes out to, but you might want to drop the Psychophage and the Ripper Swarm and just add a 3rd Exocrine. I think that would be perfectly fine. But that is Unending Swarm. I think this is going to be a real struggle to play with, and personally, I don't have any desire to play with it right now, which is sad, but I'm glad I got my run in while I did with it. Synaptic Nexus. A lot of people are really liking Synaptic Nexus now with all of the battle shocking shenanigans. I'm not as sold on it yet, but it will be fun to try. So this list is, I mean, pretty standard, though I'm doing something a little different. A lot of people want to put the Dirge Heart of Karis on a Parasite of Mortrex and just run it up there. I'm doing it a little bit differently. So we have our Neuro Tyrant with Power of the Hive Mind. Need that awesome thing. I'm going to put the Dirge Heart on the Broodlord. And now the Broodlord is going to take advantage of that being Synapse and having that ability. That'll be useful for him. We've got Death Leaper and a Hive Tyrant with Synaptic Control. Battle line, 10 Gargoyles. In the other dash sheets, the real meat and potatoes here, 2 Exocrine and 2 Maleceptors for your real fire base that Tyranids provide. 10 Gene Stealers. I like the Gene Stealers because now that it's Synapse, you don't have to worry about them not benefiting from the abilities. Yes, there's only one I don't remember what the thing is called. The 3 traits you pick. There's only one trait that really benefits them, and that's the +2 to their advance and charge. But Gene Stealers really like that. So you can now use that turn 1, move those Gene Stealers, scout them their 8 inches, and then you get to move 10 inches, and then you get to charge. So tasty there. Lictor, Neural Lictor, again, doing actions, causing problems. A Screamer Killer, I like the Screamer Killer. I think its ability to shoot Battle Shock out is very good when you stack that with all the other buffs we've got going on. I really want a way to fit another one in here. I just haven't done it yet. I've got Neurogons, 11 of them. These guys will just sit back on the home objective or something, hold it, provide Synapse, do whatever, screen out your opponent. 3 Raveners to pop around, do actions, and 6 Zoanthropes, because what's better than 6 Zoanthropes being led by a Neurotyrant? 6 Zoanthropes being led by a Neurotyrant in Synaptic Nexus, benefiting from Irresistible Will. Very tasty. That unit is going to hit like a ton of bricks. 6 las cannons, hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s, wounding most things on 4s at worst. 4s at worst, and if it's Battle Shock, 3s, rerolling 1s, probably 3s, both Battle Shock 2s. It's going to probably be 4 las can, 46 damage +1 each every time. So that's that one. And now finally, I saved my favorite for last, Assimilation Swarm. Now there's a lot of different ways you can take Assimilation Swarm. I am trying one that is a bit different. So bear with me with this list. You might notice something, and I think this might be good. So we have 2 Tyrants in the list. We have the Swarm Lord, and we have a Foot Tyrant. The Foot Tyrant will be doing full melee build. But I think the combo of them in this detachment is going to be very tough to deal with. We'll see. The Hive Tyrant will have instinctive defense, which gives him free heroic intervention and fight first if he's within range of a Harvester unit. So hopefully you have that. So he gives all the free strats, or the -1 to strats, which is great because this detachment has no battle tech except for 1. So he was really not worth taking. But now using any of those strats for -1 cost, or the Feel No Pain strat, which you'll see this list isn't that big of a deal, for only 1 CP is going to be huge. And then at the same time, you have the Swarm Lord, who is just giving you an extra CP. And you're going to ram him up the board and then cause all your opponent's stratagems to be 1 extra cost. So I think I'm really going to like this combo. We have a Neurotyrant with Biophagic Flow. Maybe there's a reason you want to slide her in with Tyrant Guard, but she's just going to kind of sit around the center of the board, providing that 9-inch bubble for extra regeneration through Feed the Swarm, and just a nice little flamer. And then we have a Winged Prime with Parasitic Biomorphology. Now this, with her warriors, will get them up to strength 7, and will get her up to strength 8 because of the Synapse thing. Just pretty nasty, all of them being that high strength. Battle line, just 10 Hormigons. I want Gargoyles in the list, but I just don't see a place for them right now. So we're doing Hormigons, just a battle line to sit around in the back and kind of lurk. We have a Biovore. Now people will be saying, why are you still bringing a Biovore? Couple things. One, there are still missions. The list is not particularly fast, especially without gargoyles or anything. So having a Biovore to at least still put Spore Mines in corners for those 3 missions that they can still score is going to be good. It'll help you on some bad turns. Likewise, there are a number of strats, or at least a few strats, that involve units dying. When a unit dies within range of a Feed the Swarm unit or Harvester unit, you get to heal something. Spore Mines still count for that. That never changed. So putting Spore Mines to slow down advance and charge units at the same time as triggering units to heal myself with free strats, because now in my opponent's turn, they move within range of the Spore Mine. I trigger it, it explodes, it counts as being destroyed. I also trigger the strat and I can bring a model back or heal wounds on it. The Biovore is going to be a great utility piece in Assimilation Swarm. It's not going to be the be-all end-all. Your opponent isn't going to try and focus fire it, but it's going to be there for 50 points. It's a huge include. 2 Psychophages, these guys are going to be the backbone of your army, which is kind of weird, but everything will revolve around these guys just kind of lurking around, getting the objectives and causing that Feed the Swarm ability to go off. We have 1 unit of 3 Pyrovores. Again, finally we have a Foot Tyrant, so I can give, now they won't benefit from lethal, but finally they have Assault, so they're going to be D6 inches faster every turn being near that Hive Tyrant, which is what I've been waiting for a while. 2 individual Pyrovores, 1 to sit on your home objective and 1 to just lurk around, maybe come on strategic reserve. I have considered putting them as a unit of 2 just for reviving purposes. I'll play around with it in my head, but we'll see. Right now they're 2 individual. We have 6 melee warriors, which again I already talked about them, but strength 7 on them is going to be awesome. And 2 units of 6 Tyrant Guard to go with our Tyrants. My initial thought was Bone Cleavers, but I think what I'm going to do is 3 in each squad are going to have Bone Cleavers and 3 in each squad are going to have the Crushing Claws. That way, you know, if I'm going up against a more infantry build, I can drop the Crushing Claws. If I'm going against a more anti-tank monster build, I'll keep the Crushing Claws because these things are going to be strength 9 now with the Synapse buff. So those are going to be good. And strength 6 on the Bone Cleavers. 3 Venom Thropes because the whole blob of Tyrant Guard will still benefit from the cover Venom Thropes give. So that'll effectively give them a 2-up save. Likewise, if I don't need that anymore, Venom Thropes are great for just doing random actions wherever they need to be after the first few turns. And finally, a Tyrannofex. Something big to threaten my opponent because there is no shooting in this army really. So I'm sticking a Tyrannofex in there to just be that big threat that my opponent they have to honor it because it's not easy to take out and it can take out most tanks that it looks at, assuming the dice rolls go decent. So just something to kind of help give some covering fire and just a big watch out, here's my big gun type of unit. So this is the one, I will be honest, I'm playing with the most. I want it to work the most. I'm going to try it. I know I use the Assimilation Swarm a lot on the channel, but I love it so much. The ability to, when it pulls off, to just keep bringing back models. I think it's great. The only thing I'm trying to, or I'll try with this list is I might drop the Winged Prime and I might drop the Melee Warriors and put in Gene Stealers now. Because they could also be very good with Instinctive Defense, giving them fight first on top of all their scouting, moving forward and all that. That's a very powerful combo too. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to try it with the Warriors right now. But if I don't like it, then I'll mix it up, put the Gene Stealers in and see if they do it better. So that's it. That's all I got. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. And let me know what you think. We'll go to a 1,000-point list eventually soon. But let me know in the comments what you think. What lists are you trying? What Hive fleets are you trying? And we'll see you next time here at Maelstrom Gaming Studios.